We are now recording.
All right, thank you so much. I'll say it one more time, one more reminder. There is a link in the chat to log your attendance for this meeting. So please make sure to sign in so we have a log of who was here. And I think I saw Tracy Dillo is here, so we'll start with the CenturyLink and the system performance reports.
Okay. Good morning, guys. I have no idea, by the way, why this showed up in purple and pink this month. It has been green and blue since I started. And I checked my printer to see if it was that. And this is the new color, I guess. So caught me off guard. So this will be for the month of August, as we all know. The test completion chart here, this is measuring the overall network performance. Right there on August 5th, and it looks like the 8th maybe of August, we have a little spike there. These come up as null in the legend. This is just where we had to continue to ping to get an answer. Anytime, this is a constant process where it's pinging something like every 7 seconds. So for an unknown reason, it just had to ping additional times during this date. It could be something was offline, unplugged, busy, I couldn't, there really isn't a definite answer from my knock, except for it just continues to ping until it actually gets an answer. So little spike in that one, but still within the norm. Again, this is for voice quality, or I'm sorry, network quality. The next one, I flipped my page too soon. This is the voice quality, looking at this by PSAP. We like to see those numbers 4 and above. So this one looks great. I did speak a little bit to the knock on this one because I know we had some questions as to whether or not we can get more specifics, or there was an outage we talked about last month too, wondering why it did not impact this. And as it turns out, Andrew gave the exact answer I got from the knock and the Splunk team. As I understand it, during that time, it was an intermittent conversations that were kind of, the voice was good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. It wasn't anything consistent. So because of the number and amount of data that goes into this particular chart, an intermittent issue would not show up on this. That's not to say that it didn't trigger an incident, and Andrew and team are definitely looking into it for you, but it's not going to show up on this chart. And the same would hold true for the second one, where we just do it by ECMC route. Again, need to see these numbers 4 or higher based on the tariff. And it looks like for the month of August, they were all above that 4 line. Let's see. This is our packet loss percentage by ECMC route. Tariff requirements are less or equal to 0.5%. And glancing again here, we had the spike on, let's see, August 5th and August 26th. Have a question out to Carl, is my knock manager, to see if he can get an explanation for me on those two. That'll have to be an action item for me to share, hopefully later this week. I did not see an email from him in my box this morning.
Okay. Oh,
got the jitter on the very bottom one. This one, again, keep in mind, this graph is showing microseconds. The tariff measures in milliseconds. This is exactly where we'd like to see it. If we were to measure it in milliseconds, we would be looking at a plane chart right now. So again, very strange that it's pink, but everything looks fine on this particular graph.
Okay, any questions from anybody for Tracy? All right, hearing none, I guess we'll move on.
Kathy, before we move off the Lumen things, this is Kathy Kendrick. Could I just take 2 minutes and address the billing?
Sorry, Kathy, I tacked you on at the end, but that's totally fine.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I've spoken to quite a few of you about the confusion on the invoicing. I know it's been confusing going from one system to another and then having to merge the two bands, ECATS and ESInet, but the September invoices that will be coming out for the most of you will be the 26th. Some of them came out a little earlier. That should completely combine the ESInet and ECATS. And then the October invoice should be full 1 month MRCs for ECATS and ESInet on the same invoice. All of the previous ESInet invoices dated September 1st, that would have been the last invoice, and it should have been showing a zero balance. So and all the credits for NRCs have been identified and addressed. So if you get your September bill and none of that, you still think that there's any issues, just reach out to me. I think we've got everything addressed at this point. Thanks, Kathy. Sorry for the interruption.
No, you're good. Thank you. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, on this subject, Kathy, we had spoken briefly about some billing questions. I've not yet had a chance to actually review my bill for what we talked about. Did you feel that that was satisfactorily explained for yours?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it took a little bit of talking it through, but we finally figured it out. So yeah, it was explained.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. We did have a couple of questions from last month that I wanted to make sure we follow up on. I think Tracy was going to check on these to see if we're able to drill down on those reports to the local level.
Yep. I did speak with, and I kind of, this is part of that chart we looked at too, where we look at the voice quality by PSAP to see if we could drill down deeper. In the metrics system version that Lumen has, there is not the ability with that tool to drill down any more so than a high level at the PSAP. That's how it was designed when we first started doing these. So there is not a way for me to go in and drill down further. It's possible that the NOC could investigate these, but again, it would be something that would be kind of as needed, as requested on an incident basis. They don't have anything in place where they can go any deeper than what we have on this chart. Not through this tool anyway.
Okay.
That other question.
So that probably answers the next one that was asked by Michael Berry, if we could get reports similar to these, but being at the local level.
Correct. That it would be one in the same. We could certainly go back and investigate with, I mean, we pull these through Splunk, but it would be a new request. I don't know what the development time is. I don't know what the cost of that would be. I mean, if it's something that you guys are interested in, we can investigate it further on our side, but it would have to be a new project. Probably work with Jeff Winkleman on my side because it would be a new offering to you. I don't know, like I said, level of effort, development, and cost. I don't have any idea what that might be.
Okay. I think there might be enough interest in this group and even outside of this group to know what the possibilities are for that report. So
Okay.
Can you take a look into that and just let us know what next steps might be and cost?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Nope. Okay. Next thing would be the issues tracker. Tracy again.
Okay, do you have that to share?
I
If
think
not,
Jennifer.
I can open it up on my
No,
side.
Jennifer's bringing it up now.
Fantastic. Let's see what we have here. I also want to peek real quick. Okay, seeing who I had to help me out here. The first one we're looking at, whoops, let me see. Can you go up to the very top? There we go. The ring no answer. So this is something that is within the Intrado portal. I confirmed with Kim Haig that it isn't something that if you guys PSAPs are logging in through the portal just to view some of the information that you have set up, this is not on there. So at any time, I mean, I have a list that I could send to Kathy showing where everybody is at today. But it's a live project. So if, you know, Matt or somebody reaches out and says, hey, I need to change my timer on Ring No Answer, I'm going to send that to Intrado and they're going to change it. So I'm happy to share with you guys as of September 1st where everyone is at, but that wouldn't be a list that I'd want you to refer to probably after today since it's a live document. So anytime you guys need to know that, shoot me a quick email. Intrado takes a few seconds literally to get back to me and tell me what that is. So it's not, you know, it's easy to do. But Kathy, I can send out the list as of September 1st. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that, you know, it's a snapshot in time.
Yeah, that would be great if you don't mind sharing that with me and I can send it out to the group.
Yep. I'll get it to you right after this.
Okay.
Andrew is still circling back on this one. I added it last time. This is Pueblo County, and I know Andrew is on right now. You were still waiting for some responses on our side. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still talking to our NOC about multiple things regarding this particular one. You know, to see if there was any more information that we can provide as far as, you know, what we saw, if anything else, and anything else we're able to communicate when the call was sent to the backup. And then I'm also speaking with them, and there, I mean, I have, you know, one of the things that came up was the 408 code, and that's really that we mentioned last time. And there's nothing to that. It doesn't point us to anything. It's just, you know, the error code that they see, but there wasn't any more information behind it. So I said I'd look into that a little bit, and there really wasn't anything else. And, you know, the other thing I'll probably talk to Shauna about this week, and, you know, I can mention it here too, is when the notifications go out, and depending on how the PSAP gets them, I think, you know, most of the time, the ones that get sent to me from the PSAP are like an email form. So I'm kind of talking to the NOC about that. You know, is that in any way confusing? Because, you know, on this particular event, you know, the Shauna sent back to me, you know, the notifications that they received, and it does, you know, say in the kind of the beginning of the message, you know, there's a network event causing a potential 911 outage in your area. So, you know, I'm like, when I read that too, I'm like, oh, it sounds like there's an issue in the Lumen network. But then, you know, below that in those notifications, there is a box, you know, it says, it lists that, and it lists, you know, the reason for the email notification, you know, pursuant to the FCC rules. And then it says below is the best available information known about this time. So there's really a little bit better explanation as to why a notification's going out after that. And it's not, you know, every case is different, but it's not necessarily always going to be, you know, a Lumen issue when it says that. So, I mean, that confused me a little bit. So I just, you know, wanted to put that out there too, that, you know, when that notification comes in, and when, you know, just in this particular case, let me just read this real quick and say something about that. You know, in the box that provides the best known available information, you know, on this notification, it says Lumen's received an alarm that indicates the PSAP may not be able to receive 911 calls, and ask them to make a test call to verify impact, as calls may be overflowing to a designated backup. Network Operations Center will be reviewing the alarm and maybe reaching out to the PSAP. You know, and when they say that alarm, that's the alarm that they're talking about is the fact that a call had to be sent to the backup, not some sort of network alarm, you know, in our network. I mean, that could be the case, but if it was, it would be spelled out there if it was known. So I was going over that with RNOC too, because I found that confusing. Maybe I confused everybody right now, but I wanted to touch on that because you know, it seems important too.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Jennifer, correct me if I may be mixing up two things, but didn't we also have another agency that was getting these notifications when one specific phone number was calling, and then that one couldn't hit the primary and was going to the backup?
I know we were dealing with that. I don't know if it was in this same context.
Okay. All right. I just don't want to get the two things mixed up if they're two separate incidents. I'd have to go back and look at my report because I'm pretty sure I put it in there. All right. I do think it was two different things. So with that said, does anybody have any questions for Andrew? Nope. Okay. Tracy, you can move along.
Awesome. Next one, you know, we're kind of touched on this already where we were having the intermittent voice issues. Right now, my action item is to go back to the team and see what it would take to get you guys that information. So I'll follow up on that, get some meetings scheduled on our side and see, you know, maybe it's a completely different report or something we can pull, but I will take that as an action item, hopefully update you guys next month. The robocalls, we talked about making some of these non-dialable. We can do that. We have done that for some PSAPs in Colorado. The risk I have to point out, and that they're going to point out when you put the request in, if you put the request in, is you will have to sign off that you're aware. You know, we don't know who may or may not be dialing in on a certain TN. So if it is, you know, it could be like a shelter that has that number programmed in, or we've been told some care homes have it pre-saved as, you know, you press 2 and it could dial a non-dialable number. So it's not a problem for Lumen to make those changes. We just have to have each individual PSAP sign off that they understand what turning them off means. The next one, ECATs, I think Kathy pretty much touched on that one. I still have, yes.
Sorry, just following up with the list of the DNs. Do you know when you might have that available for the PSAPs?
The end of the day today.
Perfect. Thank you.
I need to clean it up for you guys a little bit, but I do have it. I'll send it out. I'll send it to Jennifer and Kathy if that's okay to you guys.
That'll be great.
Okay, I'll do that today.
And just to make everybody aware, I'm not going to put that in our public folder for obvious reasons, but it'll be available and Kathy and I can send it out.
Sounds perfect. The next one around ECAPs, Kathy kind of touched on this one. Everybody's being billed for this. There was some confusion and mix up on our side, like she said, but it's all been taken care of. If you have billing specific questions, go directly to Kathy. I think we have 11 PSAPs that we have not been able to get the IP forms from. So we're not done as far as having the entire state implemented, but we are narrowing it down. Anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about or is seeing that they're being billed for ECATs and wants to hurry and, you know, get your equipment shipped out and turned up, feel free to reach out to me. You know, like I said, we still have a handful that we're working with, like to get them turned up as soon as possible. Kimberly, I think I saw on here. We and Jeff Winkleman is on. This is the PSAP move that we'll be doing down here. I think I have it. We kicked it off within Lumen as a project, and they're planning to move equipment in November or December. I guess I'll have to kick it to Kimberly as well as Jeff to see if we have an update on that one. Kimberly, are you guys still on track for November, December?
We are on track, at least to have what we would like to have, Tracy, is to have the network at least extended over to the new facility and just demarked in the new back room.
Okay.
And then when we're able to move the 911 equipment over, which may be more like February, that we're able to then re-engage Lumen at that time. But there is some work at the vault that needs to happen. So for CenturyLink to extend the fiber, it's just feet, but probably need another vault or at least extend it over into the new facility. It would be great to get that done while there's no snow on the ground.
Yeah,
The ground's not
I don't
frozen, you know, I mean, so I would love to have all of that stuff and then the new connection just in the vault ready to be extended to the building once the back room is, all the construction is done in that. And then we can fine tune like what our cut date's going to be, if we're going to move, you know, unmount and move equipment, or if we're going to install new equipment. And I say we, it would be on the CenturyLink side, of course.
Mhm.
But
Kimberly-
our PSAP move time is February to be moving that PSAP over. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jeff.
Okay, sorry about that. So I guess for my own clarification, we've had a couple of calls on this to be able to work through it. The challenge that we're having is because of the network improvement plan and the works for the new circuits that are going to be brought in ties into this. But when you say extend, I just want to make sure I understand this properly. We're actually needing to establish a new demarcation point in that new building. That's my understanding. Is that accurate for what we're talking through?
It would be establishing a new demarcation point, but we are going to vacate the demarcation point for 911 at the current facility. So it is a move. When I talk about extending the network, it's because you guys have been out here on the state side and the feds and have talked about using the current connection already for their network. So when I talk about extending, you have a vault outside the building, and then you are using the conduit for demarcation to run that connection up to the back room. And I don't know if you're going to leave that connection there. My understanding from your techs that have been on site talking about the state project and the federal project is that you're going to be running a new connection path from that vault to my new building, which is of course just feet away.
Right. From what I understand on the calls that I've had, the vault you're talking about is right up at the street between the two buildings, right?
Yep, you're exactly right.
Right.
Yep. And
so that they'll have to establish the new demarcation point. I don't think we're going to be moving it because it has a different physical address for our records and what we need to do. We have to establish a new demarcation point. The new circuits will be brought into that location. And that's what we're still working through with our construction and everybody else internally.
and that's great. My hope would be that from your vault, we can get that conduit in the ground, and we're happy to do that for you if you would use that conduit, because we already have ran conduit, but just would love to do that before snow falls and the ground is frozen.
Well, that would make it too easy.
I know, and I like easy, and then that way you have the new, everything's ready to go. It's just maybe in the vault or extended and protected, in the back room before it's connected over and we actually move equipment.
Right. I believe we got another call. I think it's on Friday, but once I get off of that and get more details where this is going, I will reach out to you directly and give you an update of what we've got.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Tracy, just real quick. I want to circle back to the robocalls, and I just want to ask Cindy Castile is on from Grand Junction. And it's my understanding that she had an incident with this. I'm not sure if she's I don't want to throw her under the bus if she's ready to talk about it or not. But Cindy, are you open to talking about what happened?
Actually, Matt Allen is on with me, and he is going to give you an update as to where we're at with it and what testing and everything they've come up with that. We had quite a mess on a Saturday morning, actually a Saturday all day.
Yeah, just to, kind of provide the 30,000-foot view. It was about 6 o'clock that morning. We received a call from our dispatch center stating that our admin lines were being flooded. So every line was coming in all at once. They were coming in immediately and disappearing immediately. They had no caller ID with them. So we set out troubleshooting what the issue was, and it took most of the day to kind of figure out what was happening. And what we found is the Lumen tech that was on site went over, pulled all of the cross connects for our old camera trunks that were still wired in but not being used. And as soon as we did that, most of the calls stopped. So somehow those camera trunks were still generating at least caller signaling to our Viper. But the part that was so confusing is they were coming in on our admin lines and flooding those. So we had moved over our 911 lines to Garco while we troubleshot the issue. And then once we figured it out about 4 o'clock, I think later that day, went back to normal. As Cindy stated, we are still troubleshooting it. We're still seeing some of these robocalls coming in. It's just sporadically random throughout the day. It appears to be a ring down circuit issue, but we're still troubleshooting that. So like I say, kind of the 30,000-foot view. We have a lot more info on that if anyone's curious.
Well, I think my question is, because I saw a few emails going back and forth with this, is that it's the possibility, a distinct possibility, that the older technology that is in, that Lumen is using right now, or CenturyLink, may be causing these issues, causing the shorts. So I think that's just something that needs to be brought forward and talked about. Kimberly, go ahead.
I'm just curious why Lumen CenturyLink would have those still connected as cross connects in the ESInet environment.
Ditto.
I'm just, and I think I had produced over some legacy emails on the project when we did the migration, and there was a desire for, in Colorado specifically, had asked for like a 30-day rollback plan, and then we had lots of conversations after a PSAP was to migrate over after that 30 days for the camera environment to be removed, taken down, etc. And so I'm just really unclear why there would be a cross connect there, because I agree that it is messy and can create a lot of issues.
Anybody
So for
from Lumen want to take that?
On the for the Grand Junction one, was that Matt?
Yeah,
Did
Matt
you?
Allen.
So they, I understand we had our technician out there. I'm assuming there's a ticket open too. I wasn't aware of this until today, but I don't see those incident tickets. I don't know if Andrew is aware of anything that happened or not, but just to kind of follow up on it, and I'll get it on the tracker until it comes to close. But there might be more details for us if there's a ticket, or Andrew, if you are already aware.
Oh yeah, no, I was aware. I helped
Okay.
get a tech there that day and spoke with the local supervisor. I mean, you know what Matt said basically encapsulated it. So I'll review the ticket again. You know, I don't know that there's anything more telling on there.
I just wanted to make sure somebody from Lumen on this call, and it's usually you when it's an incident. So thank you.
Yeah.
So
Anything else on that one?
Well, I was.
Go ahead,
was-
Jeff.
Okay, sorry. I was going to make a comment to the question that came up to why they weren't removed. I can't really speak to that, but I can work with Tracy and Andrew. The records for those camera trunks are no longer in the PSAP profiles. And that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, for us to go back and try and verify that. So I'll have to check with Trace Andrew and probably bring in Kevin Newton to see what records we have.
Yep.
And look about what we can do for a cleanup, because I agree that's something that probably should have been taken care of, but that was before my time with my involvement for Colorado.
Yeah, Jeff, if you want, I can set up that call. It was before my time with Colorado too, so I'm going to include Cindy because she did the rollout for ESInet.
Right. No,
So
this
find some
is,
time.
yeah, please do. Yeah, this really needs to take place. So thank you, Tracy.
Kimberly, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to stress that I think Jeff is intending this, that the review will be for all of Colorado, not just this one particular area that is reporting this issue. So I just want to request that when you guys dive into it, that you are looking at this for all of Colorado and making sure that there aren't cross connects and other PSAPs just lingering that can then create issues.
For sure. No, definitely.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just, second what Kimberly said. If you have your cross connects for the cameras connected, I would recommend pulling them at this time until we figure out a more permanent solution.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
Alex. Alex, did you raise your hand?
I did, yes. Sorry, I was muted.
It's okay.
I just wanted to follow up on the top item of 814 for, looks like it notes all PSAPs with having the ring no answer issue. Wesco and Delta just had another one of those last night, but we've kind of had a few presenting a pattern in the last month that it's ringing, says it's ringing in a couple times to Delta, not being answered. Alternate routes to Wesco, they're answering it and they're struggling to transfer it back. And we're getting confirmations from Delta that they're not hearing any of these. No, they don't have a record of things ringing in and they're not overflowing. I don't know if that was that topic, and it still seems to be an issue between Delta and Wesco. If anybody is still working that or has heard anything.
So the top one actually was just put on there because PSAPs were curious as to what their timer was set at. When it happens at a specific location, really the best way for us to investigate it for you is to have a ticket so that we know, hey, this happened at Delta on this day. Call logs, if you have them, I know. Those are things that, Andrew and Kevin and the technical folks can look into and find out why it might be specific to a location. That particular line item, at one time we had thought I thought you could look in the portal and figure out what your timer was. I was wrong, and we do have to ask Intrado for that information. So I think it's two separate line items, two separate issues. But we can certainly, if you want to shoot me a couple details, maybe Alex, we can get a ticket going for you and see what could have happened.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I think there was some tickets open. They had worked out. And I think that's what led to us. Maybe it was us asking that question at a previous meeting. So I will follow up with you on that we've got some new details with it that I was able to pull from the Intrado Advanced Customer Management Portal. So thank you.
Okay, that would be great. And I'll share them if you don't already have the information. Andrew, I'll share that with you.
Thank you.
Alex, has this been going on for a while, or
It has. It's been intermittent. We've seen specifically the calls have been VoIP, and then they're just ringing but not getting answered. And
yeah, okay, I remember now. Yes,
yep.
Thanks. Tracy, if that's not already on here, can we add that to the issue tracker?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then I think we're ready. We finished with the lead a move, correct?
I think so. Yeah, Jeff and I are going to follow up, or he's going to follow up Friday.
That's right. Thank you. All right, and then go ahead, Tracy. With the next
Dale
one.
Pitkin, we are still having calls on this one. Last update I received, I think Brett was on the phone. Jeff Tucker was available as well. I think there is a new contract, new agreement, something between the PSAPs and Motorola. Once that is signed, sealed, and delivered, we should be ready to continue conversations with Entrado. And like I said, my techs here and Rich Johnson and team at Entrado are ready as soon as the solution is in place between the PSAP and the CPE.
All
And-
right, thanks. Yeah, sorry, I was just going to ask, Brett is on, and I was going to ask him if he had anything to add.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. So after waiting since April for a response from Motorola, we do have a proposed contract. We've got a con board meeting tomorrow. But it's likely that they are not going to accept this contract. So we're still in the same place we have been for 3 years. And honestly, likely we're going to have to live with it until we can replace the phone system. Because CenturyLink and Entrado can't find a solution, and the one solution we had, I don't think we're going to be able to accept from Motorola.
Okay. Let me jot that down here.
All right, thanks, Brett. All right, and then I think we have one more on the tracker, Tracy.
I don't have a lot on this one. This was on the tracker from back when Cindy Berry had it on the tracker. It is something that everybody is interested in doing. Most recently, I've been contacted by Motorola for New Mexico. And I know Daryl, thank you, back in January, kind of provided approval and LOA for us to have conversations with Motorola. New Mexico will likely be the first where we try this, and that's primarily because everybody seems to be on board and pushing it. So it's at a high level right now. Really, it's Motorola's talking to our regulatory and legal folks, so I haven't been a part of those conversations. Once the project itself kicks off, I'm sure that myself and Jeff and possibly Kevin Newton will be involved in conversations and getting this kicked off. But unlike the past year where it was just on here with no update at all, we do have some traction over the last probably 60 days from Motorola. So we'll keep updating this as things come up, but I think New Mexico will likely go first.
All right, sounds good. Any questions for Tracy? Doesn't sound like it. All right.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, thank you, Tracy.
Yep.
All right, we went over Vail Pitkin update. Thank you, Jennifer.
No problem. Also, did we answer Michael Berry's question?
Yes, I think Tracy stated that they're not able to do that, and they're going to look into another option and let us know
Yes.
what's
Sorry.
available. Yeah.
Thanks, I missed that.
No worries. I'll see if there's the existing tool, Jennifer, won't do what you guys want it to do, but I'll work with the team and see if there's maybe there's a completely different tool or report that we can use.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, we already talked about the camera trunks and the list of dialing numbers. And then either the next one is presentation on the new tariff filing, and also the network improvement plan, if there's an update, and either Jeff or Tim, I think I saw Tim sign in. Yep. So, okay.
All right, so I'll touch on the network improvement plan. So we're just still waiting for the recommended decision to go through the process. Exceptions were filed, response to that was filed. So now we're just waiting for the commission itself to either adopt or reject or modify the recommended decision. So once that is done, then we can take the next steps of either accepting the decision. If it remains, we will do that. If it gets modified, we'll have to see what those modifications are. And then we would file a tariff amendment to incorporate the 310 per concurrent session for the 24 months that came out of that proceeding. And then simultaneously, though, I will file with that 310 amendment the amendment for the recurring charges that would be ongoing for the last mile diversity. It would be charges for third-party carriers to pay them for the network diversity they would provide at the PSAP location. So I'll file that at that same time. So I can stop there and see if there's any questions on that one. Seeing none. So then on the GIS text, et cetera, amendment, that is going to be filed. I was on vacation, so I didn't get a chance to file it last week. I've worked with our tariff group. That's ready to go. So I gave them the green light this week to file that. I'm just waiting to hear back when they do file that. All the numbers that we've been providing you all over the past, I don't know, 6+ months or so, those are all the same. None of the rates have changed from those earlier presentations, so those will still be the same rates. In working on some language around when this would be required or not, what we've done through a number of conversations internally and externally, is we're going to propose that all of the 4 rate elements be required to be purchased, but not until a minimum of 1 year after the effective date of the tariff. So that is what's going to be proposed. You'll see that when it gets filed here, hopefully today, but it might be tomorrow. And then we can go through the process of having some additional conversations and working through the language that we've proposed, see if there's anything that needs to be changed or modified. Of course, we'll provide, not with the filing today or tomorrow, but provide you all with the cost calculation similar to how we went through with ECATs and with the other tariff rates. And so I'll make that available as well once that gets filed to folks. We'll have to have a proceeding. They'll set, the PUC will set up a proceeding when they receive that amendment, and then folks can file an NDA, and then I can provide those costs to anyone who does that. So I'll take any questions on that.
Hey, Tim, this is Rich Johnson with Intrado. We walked through this, but for the benefit of everybody else, where we say that minimum language always throws me for a loop, but I think it's legal language. If a PSAP did want to move forward with it prior to a year out, they could, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not that the offer won't be available for a year. It's just that it'll be on a optional basis until such time that we've had a chance to go through everything with folks and make it so that the services can be delivered. And we think a year seems like a reasonable time frame.
Kimberly, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to take a call, so I may have missed this. So I apologize, Tim, if I'm having you repeat something. But at one point, it was discussed that it would be optional or presented as optional, where we wouldn't have to purchase pieces off of this new tariff. Am I understanding that that's changed? It's going to be optional for that first year, and then it's going to be required by everybody?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, that's all I have, Kathy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, again, we had the ECATS implementation progress report. We've already gone over that. We've got a handful of PSAPs or ECCs left. Just as a reminder, though, if you're purchasing a new CPE, please ask whether the solution will interface with ECATS. Jennifer.
Hey, Kathy, I just wanted to make it clear, since we were talking earlier about the billing and people are going to see that, that the non-recurring costs for ECATS implementation were also built into this year's surcharge amount. So not only have PSAPs been getting that surcharge reimbursement for the monthly recurring costs, but they also were reimbursed for their non-recurring costs.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Jennifer on that? Okay. All right, I'm going to move forward. Next is the strategic plan update. This continues to move forward. We are currently in the process of redlining a specific portion of the plan. And the last time I looked at it, which was just a little bit ago, not a little bit ago this week, I'm just going to say Matt has been redlining, but there could be others in there now. Our next meeting is tomorrow at 1:30 after the PUC Advisory Task Force meeting. So we will be reviewing that, but we're getting closer to having a document ready to go out for everybody to see. And I'm pretty excited about what it's going to look like. I think it's going to be a good document for the entire state of Colorado. Any questions on that? Okay. I wanted to add also on the agenda, follow up on the traffic study. And sorry, I'm looking. I thought I saw Joe sign on. Yeah, Joe is on. So Joe, you had sent an email stating that you had found some information. Instead of me reading this, would you mind just sharing your knowledge on it?
Yeah, there was discussion of, the traffic studies and how were the number of concurrent sessions determined. And from the tariff, it's based upon the requirement of a minimum of a PO1 grade of service, which is no more than 1% of calls being blocked in the busy hour of the busy week, I think of the busy month. And I don't know how how CenturyLink pulls that. I assume that would be from a traffic study. And one of the questions I had is that still relevant given that we can have kind of a flood of calls from a single incident with cell phones now, and a lot of people who could call at once if they see something, with the ability to transfer calls? Is there a better metric from the PSAP perspective that we should be looking at? And that was kind of what I think the committee was assigned to look at is, what is the metric that should be used to determine the number of concurrent sessions a PSAP has. And, I saw in there what it was based on, the recommendation from CenturyLink. And I just have questions of how relevant is that with modern technology, both for callers and for PSAPs?
This is Tracy. We did have that meeting along with Intrado, and I'm not sure if Jeff Winkleman, if you're still on, didn't we get kind of a high level formula from Intrado, from Kim?
I am still on.
I thought she sent over something. We did have the meeting because this isn't something that like Lumen has insight into, and it's definitely not our decision to make. But I'm just trying to remember, or any of the PSAPs that were on the call with us, there was kind of a high level formula that is used.
I'd have to look back and see if she had sent something on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find here. Let's see. But yeah, Lumen we don't really have visibility into what that is. I know We looked into the portal. I think Matt, you were part of the call too. Just trying to see what the formula was. SIP sessions. There we go. Yeah, I'll have to check on that one too, because I know we did have the conversation about it.
Well, it's your tariff that says it's based on the PO1 grade of service. I seem to recall from years ago hearing that the number of trunk lines was suggested or recommended by
yes,
West or US West, and the PSAP could modify that if they felt it was appropriate. I suspect probably this originated in the rules at some point, the PO1 grade of service. But I don't know. I think the question is, whenever they were adopted, you had telephones installed in buildings, at fixed locations. You didn't have the kind of surge you can get with cell phones. We also didn't have the ability to roll call overflows to other PSAPs. And if any of that affected what we should be looking at today. I think it was the Denver authority said they have 100 concurrent sessions. They're not sure they need all of those.
Right.
And the Jackie and in Douglas County, we're looking at a traffic study to figure out the basis for Douglas County's number of concurrent sessions. And the suggestion I had made was, the PSAPs should kind of figure out what criteria is important from the PSAP perspective for the number of concurrent sessions they should have. I mean, I don't think it's probably possible with cell phones to have the number of, would be fiscally responsible to have the number of concurrent sessions to be able to handle a big surge of cell phone calls. I know one of the breadths of PSAPs, this is a number of years ago, but they had over 100 cell phone calls from one accident on US 36, where because the traffic jam caused, it took a while for the emergency vehicles to get on site. And until they got on site, people kept calling. And, I don't know how you deal with that at a PSAP perspective. And if you want to have the number of concurrent sessions to be able to answer all of those calls within your criteria, or if rolling the calls to other PSAPs makes more sense, for example.
Jackie, you had your hand raised first.
Yes, we were looking into this. We did get some instructions on a busy hour report. I've had a little glitches and haven't been able to drill into the report. I'm still trying to get my permissions set up properly. But at any rate, on behalf of Douglas County, we are looking into trying to see if those reports will actually help us. We're not sure, just from looking at the busiest hour report, if that's really the right report to help us. So when I get set up with my permissions, I will be drilling down into that software to see if there is something that can help us determine. And basically the only thing we can determine is how many times we roll over. And so if we're rolling over an inordinate amount of times, then perhaps we need more concurrent sessions. But I don't know how you'd figure out if you have too many. But I'm still working on drilling down on those reports.
Thanks, Jackie. Matt, go ahead.
P.01 service basically comes down to 1%, right? So although it may not be applicable in the manner of thinking that it used to be for camera trunks, I think an authority or a PSAP could still apply that 1% math if they look at their call volumes over an amount of time that they feel is appropriate. A week, a month, a day, and then look at your call history over a couple of years, and how many trunk lines do you need to achieve less than 1% of calls blocked because all lines are busy.
All right, thanks, Matt. Joe, you've got your hand up. Hang on just one second. Brett, can you hear me?
Yeah, you ready to hand it over?
Yeah, you guys, I'm sorry, I've got a hard stop. I've got to leave, and Brett is going to take over the rest of the meeting. Thanks, everybody. And Brett, Joe had his hand up.
Okay. Hey, Kathy, you want me to take the projection?
Jennifer has it.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right.
Yep, you're good. Thanks, everybody.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, I was intending to raise a new issue. This had been discussed at the last ESInet user group meeting and another meeting, I believe. And there was a question where the number of concurrent sessions that PSAPs currently have came from. And I was working on something else and came across this tariff provision and was just providing that as the source of what's supposed to be the source of the information. I think at the last discussion, some people were suggesting that, you know, in the end, it may be different PSAPs may have different comfort levels with different numbers of concurrent sessions, you know, perhaps based on the number of calls that roll over. But that's just the information I can provide.
I think some large authorities were looking for a defendable formula as a basis for adjusting, or shall we say, maybe even reducing their concurrent session counts in a defendable way, right? As opposed to a WAG or a professional guess. I don't know that that exists, though, other than, you know, 1% of calls, up to 1% of calls might not get through based on your call history. In the past, CenturyLink 911 sales staff used to give me a rule of thumb of one trunk line for every 10,000 population served, but that's really very vague, and may not be applicable for metro areas.
Any other thoughts on that?
Hey, Brett, I can just throw out there too. Once, you know, you guys mentioned you had access to those reports, and that's what I was trying to remember that Entrada walked us through. When you have the time and drill down into them a little deeper, if you want, we can have a follow-up conversation again. And if the original assessment or suggestion came from the Lumen sales team, I'll include Jeff, and we can just see moving forward, you know, do we need to update this based on where we're at today?
Great, thanks, Tracy. So Jennifer, sorry, help me out. Did we get through everything from Joe?
I think so.
Awesome. Joe, you good?
Yeah, I had nothing further.
Okay, great. So we're into
Actually, I'm sorry. While we have some of the people from CenturyLink and Entrado on, there's a question I've had with RTT. It's supposed to be session-based, and it's supposed to accommodate video or voice over text. And my question is, what does it require a full session like a voice call for RTT that would affect the number of concurrent sessions, or is it more in like SMS is individual text messages, not a session? How when we move to RTT, will that affect concurrent session requirements?
This is Tracy. I would have to take that back to my technical folks as well as Entrado. I don't have an answer for you.
Are any of our PSEPs currently getting a lot of RTT calls, or are we getting them at all yet? Do we know? It's real-time text.
Joe, this is Jennifer. Unless CenturyLink and Entrado have different information, I'm not aware of any PSAP that's taking RTT.
Okay, I know the wireless carriers are talking about, where they are and rolling it out, and I thought they were fairly far along, but I don't know if there's a non-RTT ready that may just come in as SMS. But for purpose of planning and costs and stuff, I think it would be helpful to know how RTT may affect the requirements for concurrent sessions, because RTT is session based. Would that be an Entrado or a CenturyLink question?
Probably both, Joseph. I don't think I have the Lumen folks on the phone that can help me with that. And looking down the list, I don't know that anyone at Entrado is on that can answer it either.
Can you?
So it's whether or not you need to have more session counts?
Yeah.
With RTT. Okay. I will ask. How's that?
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, any public comments, non-voting members? Welcome to provide anything. Okay. Boy, my job was easy today.
You did great.
Anybody have a motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Everybody wants to stay on, but if you haven't signed in yet, please do so.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Matt seconds.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys.
We'll see you next month.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Brett. Take care, everyone.